Swipe on the show this week. The votes are in. You've been helping pick the best gadgets of 2014. Switched on, how a teenage entrepreneur could be revolutionising the plug socket. And Sackboy's back in our games review. Hello and welcome to Swipe this week from the O2 Pocket-lint Gadget Awards in London, where this year's best tech is being honoured. We've seen all sorts in 2014, from fresh phablets to wacky wearables. You guys have been casting your votes and I was lucky enough to be part of the judging panel. So here's Angela with a roundup of tonight's successes.
"2014 has been an interesting year for gadgets. Apple made its first forays into the world of wearable tech and finally revealed a phone with a larger screen. The console wars ramped up as Sony and Microsoft battled it out for dominance of gamers' hearts, minds and fingers. And we've seen a rise in smart devices which control the technology in your home while you're out and about. But which of this year's gadgets have come out on top? A panel of expert judges at the Pocket-lint Awards helped narrow it down after a public vote.
It's been a very tumultuous year. BlackBerry, Motorola, Nokia have all had massive changes in the last 12 months. But in the course of it, there's still been big innovations from all the big players and from companies you've never heard of before.
So what about the winners? Apple scooped the top prize with the iPhone 6 winning Best Phone and Overall Gadget of the Year. Demand for a phone with a larger screen clearly paid off. After 7 years in the competition, it's the first time that the iPhone has won. Sony were also the big winners of the night, scooping 4 awards, including Best Compact Camera, Best TV, Best Headphones and Best Home Entertainment Device with the PlayStation 4.
I think it tells us that consumers really do want quality, you know? We've seen a growth of 4K ultra high def, we've seen a growth of high-res audio as well, really exciting that one. And of course photography, who doesn't want a great quality photograph nowadays?
So that was 2014, but what can we expect to see next year?
2015 is going to be quite an exciting year for tech people. One is going to be the inevitable rise of more wearables and more use case scenarios for individual wearable devices. The other thing, though, that I find more interesting might be smart textiles, which is where the electronics for various wearable technologies can actually be woven in and factored inside garments, inside fabrics.
So whether it's the growth of smartwatches or the future of fabric, 2015 will have a lot to offer. Angela Barnes, Sky News.
So the winners have been announced, the best gadgets have been honoured for another year, but were you surprised by any of the results? Joining me now is tech journalist Vicky Woollerson, also another judge. I was quite surprised by the Apple iPhone 6 taking Best Overall Gadget and Best Phone, having never previously won at the Pocket-lint Awards.
First time in 11 years.
So what changed?
I mean, there's no denying that Apple sells well. I think what they did is they found a formula that they liked and they stuck to it. And I think what they did with the iPhone 6 is while they were sticking to this formula, Samsung and HTC were blazing these trails and innovating. And they realised that what people want are bigger screens.
It's all about the size.
All about the big screen. But rather than just releasing a phone that had a larger screen, they actually introduced tools that people wanted. So like reachability, for example, makes it easier to use. And I think that's been the difference. And also it's really well made, as Apple always does.
So it's obviously works then.
Yes.
Now this time last year, a lot of people in the tech industry were saying that 2014 would be all about wearables. It hasn't quite turned out that way, has it? Why do you think that is?
I think the media jumped on wearables, and I think firms then started pushing out these devices without really thinking about what people wanted. And if you think about it, phone's a fashion statement in its own right. So if you're putting something on your wrist all day, it needs to look good.
It's got to look good.
So yeah. I think next year might actually be the year where wearables actually take off.
Okay, so 2015 could be the year of the wearables. Anything else to expect in 2015?
Do you know what? Up until now, drones have been a bit niche and a bit hobbyist. I mean, but you've got reports now that GoPro are launching some consumer range of drones, or potentially going to. So I think 2015 might be the year. As long as we can get the legality and the security issues sorted, we might see more drones in the sky.
All right, Vicky Woollerson, great to talk to you. Thanks for joining us. You're watching Swipe. Coming up, exploring the Imagisphere with everyone's favourite knitted knight. But first, here's a roundup of some of this week's other tech stories.
Grand Theft Auto 5 is the UK's best-selling video game of all time. It follows its recent release on Xbox One and PlayStation 4. According to GFK Chart Track, the Rockstar and Take-Two title had been just behind Call of Duty Black Ops in the bestsellers race, but not anymore. Here's some potentially good news for GoPro fans. Rumours have it the company's developing its own helicopter drones carrying high-definition cameras. Reports in the Wall Street Journal say the action camera maker wants to start selling them towards the end of next year, with prices ranging from around £300 to just over £600. Samsung has come up with a computer mouse controlled by your eyes instead of hands. The iCan Plus allows people with disabilities to create documents and browse the web by looking directly at icons and then blinking. Samsung won't be selling it commercially, but the company's due to make a limited quantity for charities. And a teenager has reinvented the Switch, and it could save you money on your energy bill. 19-year-old entrepreneur Yasser Katak was studying for his GCSEs when he came up with the idea for a system that enables you to turn off your appliances using a smartphone app or remote control.
You can now turn off all your lights and all your appliances from the touch of one button, just as you're about to go to bed or as you're about to leave the house, saving you money and saving the environment.
The UK could save more than £1 billion a year by shutting down devices frequently left on standby. Yasser's company is using crowdfunding to raise enough money to bring it to market.
And now it's time for our games review. So while I concentrate on playing Anki Drive, here's Keza with her pick of the latest releases. Oh.
Little Big Planet 3 has been made by a different studio to the other two Little Big Planet games on PlayStation, but it hasn't suffered too much. It's a really, really fun multiplayer game. Multiplayer is definitely at the heart of Little Big Planet 3, along with the usual creating and playing of your own levels. It's got a wonderful aesthetic. I still think it's slightly less good than the first two Little Big Planets, but if you're looking for something to play, especially with kids or friends, with 4 players, it's really good on that front. So Minecraft is the biggest game in the world. It's unsurprising that it was going to come to Xbox One, but we've waited over a year since the console's release for it to arrive. The benefits that it has over the Minecraft you might have played on the Xbox 360 is it's just got much, much bigger worlds. That's basically why you'd want to play it. For Minecraft obsessives, if you've been playing Minecraft for the last several years, it's not going to have changed much, but the great thing about that game is that you just never run out of things to do. The newest Pokemon game is actually a remake of a Pokemon game from the early 2000s, Ruby and Sapphire. It's got the same monsters, it's got roughly the same world, but it's much, much better. It's got loads of features from newer Pokemon games that make it much easier and more fun to play. One thing I'd say about it is, if you have ever played a Pokemon before, you know exactly what to expect from this. It's not particularly innovative, and it doesn't surprise you very often. It's not enormously challenging, but it's still just absolutely brilliantly made. And I think the competitive scene with Pokemon in the next year is going to benefit enormously from some of the changes that it's made to the basics of monster battling. Smash Bros. Wii U is kind of like Mario Kart, except with punching. There's a ridiculous number of Nintendo characters, from the most obscure games from way back in the day to the most kind of relevant new ones. You've also got Pac-Man and Sonic joining the fight. Essentially, it's really, really fun, especially with other people in the same room. There's a version out on 3DS, but the Wii U version has 8-player fighting, it's got better online, and it's generally more fully featured. It's going to be the game I'm playing with my friends for the next several months.
Well, that's it for this week. But don't forget to stay up to date all week with the latest tech stories on Sky News iPad, our smartphone app, skynews.com, and our YouTube channel. See you again next week. Bye-bye.